lot of our environments aren't set up to be healthy, and we have to figure out how to put ourselves in a different environment or craft our environment in the ways that we can control.
Everybody used to grow their own food, or they would grow some and share and swap out with all the different people in different farms and all that.
Come together and force people to make changes. I mean, when you look at the back of these boxes of products, majority of the products that's on the back you can't pronounce.
Ask the doctor for references, and then whatever the doctor prescribes for me, I researched it.
Memphis sounds where we hit that groove. Turn the club up, now podcast that we prove. Talking soul, funk stories in the mix. Memphis Sound Spirit.
Hello and welcome to Memphis Sounds Lounge Show, presented by Star News VIP. We have a great time that we're going to present to you today because a lot of people have this question about their health. And we all want to be healthy. We all want to do what's best for our bodies, but we tend to lack that. I don't know if it's based on just information or knowledge or wisdom or whatever it may be.
Hot wings.
Hot wings and pork chops, and I said poke without the R.
Ooh, Lord, Pope.
All these other processed foods and everything, but we want to help people to do better. And so we have on our panel today all of us here from Memphis Sounds Lounge Show. Adam.
Good morning. Good afternoon. Good night.
Myself, Trini. Malik.
What's good? What's good, everybody?
And we have Nesby
Good morning.
in the house
Good morning.
to talk about these health initiatives because all of us are interested in that, and all of us have done our part in that, especially with Malik. Now, Malik is our producer who does all these things we have for our podcast. He has all the know-how to make things happen with Key Leads Media, but in the background, which is his front ground, he's actually gone to school and he's a specialist in several areas of health, from nutrition to fitness. So we're going to start with Malik talking and sharing with us the importance of health or being healthy. How do we do this? Not just as men, but women, boys, girls, older, younger. What should we be focusing on when it comes to our health?
Got you. So first of all, Malik Mayweather, if you haven't seen other episodes, like the first few that I've been on that haven't focused on health. I'm Malik. My background is health administration as far as my schooling. My first business ever prior to even going to grad school for that was a fitness company that still exists today called Unconquered Fitness. And I also worked at a $100 million hospital facility as an executive resident for my first year out of grad school prior to having to make some pivots because of some different life changes and family stuff. But my background has always been health. I'm very, very health conscious. And one of the main things, like you said, is just, how do we focus on our health, whether you're male, female, grown up, child, etc. And I think it all starts with environment. How you set up your environment. A lot of our environments aren't set up to be healthy, and we have to figure out how to put ourselves in a different environment or craft our environment in the ways that we can control. When I worked in the hospital, there's a lot of things that go into someone having surgery. Is the airflow positive or negative, right? Is that a correct thing that's going on throughout the facility in the right rooms, right? Do we have positive flow in these rooms, negative flows in these rooms to make sure we're not pushing things into the air and getting airborne pathogens out to the general public or the staff of the hospital? Also, getting into healthcare during COVID was very, very eye-opening because everything you thought you learned in school about healthcare and how it was going to go, it wasn't that, right? It was totally not out the window, but we have to make concessions because of the circumstances, right? They're unprecedented times. So understanding how do we craft our environment dealing with these new things in the hospital setting was also very, very eye-opening for me in terms of understanding, okay, well, this is what's happening in the hospital, and I had to protect myself at the hospital, but I also had to figure out how to protect myself outside of the hospital. So then I started thinking about, okay, well, what's going on in the hospital and how we're crafting things, and then how can I craft myself at home? How can I make sure that I'm wiping down things in the gym? How can I make sure I'm feeding myself mentally the right things? Because you see a lot of death and you see a lot of sadness and you see a lot of burnout. And then you're dealing with the stress of trying to run an organization or a facility that is supposed to save lives. And it's a lot. it's a lot on administrators, it's a lot on nurses, and it's a lot on the general public to even have to interact with a system in that manner. So environment is key. Now, to go back to the basis of health, right? Because it's one thing to be in healthcare and treat symptoms and also try to tell people how to change their lives. But it's another thing for the basis of health to be, you know, your nutrition, what you feed your mind, and also your physical activity, right? And I like to tell people start with the mind, because you can start with the mind as little as 2 years old and as old as 82 years old, right? Like you can be old or young and deal with the mind. But what people don't realize is that the mind is a muscle. And I thought about this last night, knowing that, you know, coming into this podcast, what we be talking about, the mind is a muscle, and just like any other muscle, it's based on how it develops is based on what you consume. If you consume bad things, then your mind develops badly, whether that's consuming bad content, consuming bad nutrients, or consuming bad relationships. If you consume good things, then your mind gets better, right?
Or lack of.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So
Not enough
lack
nutrients,
yeah,
not
lack
enough-
of nutrients
lack
or
of
consuming the
positive,
wrong
yeah.
nutrients, right? So mindset, change your mind. The only way to change your mind is to actually change your mind, change the composition of it by doing the right things and feeding it the right things and exercising it correctly. Once you've done that, then you can move on to, okay, how can I be consistent both with my mind and my body? Because if I'm consistent with my mind, then my body's going to follow, and then my body becomes what I want it to be. And understanding that you can walk a lot further for a lot longer than you can run, tortoise in the hare,
Yeah.
right? So trying to sprint everywhere isn't always a good thing. And and I mean, you can do it if you got a lot of endurance, but the recovery is longer for a sprint, right? When you do sprint training in fitness, your recovery might be 2-3 minutes, 5 minutes, depending on what type of training you're doing, right? In track or football or whatever. But when you're doing long distance training, you run for a lot longer, right? And you're working smaller muscles on a lower impact basis, and you recover a lot faster. So you got the mind, you got the physical body, and then what was I mentioned? I said mind, body.
Emotions.
I didn't say emotions. I think I just talked about mind and body
Mind and
so
body,
far.
yeah, okay.
I'm
So
losing
far,
my place in my thought process. But for the most part, mind and body are the two.
You said environment.
Well, yeah, environment,
No, yeah, you did mention.
right? So your environment
Your soul.
and your soul, right? Because there's you exist not just here, and this is a little bit deeper, and this isn't quote unquote traditional health or nothing like that. But like, if you're quiet, you can still hear yourself, right? So that means that your brain, your body, your spirit, whatever, exists somewhere beyond this 3D dimension that we in. So taking care of that kind of subconscious mind, again, by what you feed it, who you're around, the type of environment you're around, also makes a difference in your health and your spirit. Because the energy that you have from doing the right things physically and emotionally and mentally is all based on, a lot of times, how your spirit feels.
Well, what about, I mean, looking at the environment and everything you just mentioned, seems like to me a lot of things are habitual, you know, what habits you establish throughout the way. You hear a lot of people saying, well, it's hereditary. You know, my daddy had high blood pressure, my great-grandmama had high blood pressure, blah, 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 blood pressure. You know, I had a DNA test done, many years ago to find out what was hereditary. They said, and I mentioned
It
all the
wasn't
things.
who was the father?
No.
wasn't?
No, it wasn't who's the father.
The envelope didn't come out.
No,
Trinity,
Yeah.
you are not.
Yeah, not.
No. Not
Wasn't
that
anything
kind,
like
not
that,
kind,
Trent?
not that
Nothing
kind.
like that? Okay.
I did a DNA test in regards to health, and I gave them a list of things of what my parents, grandparents had experienced or what they died from and all of that. And it said none of that was hereditary based on my DNA.
Really? That's
It
interesting.
comes from lifestyle,
Diet.
habits,
Yeah.
things like that.
Wow.
So
That's profound.
having the right habits in your eating and all that. And you know, we're in a different thing. We're in a different way in this new generation because everybody used to grow their own food, or they would grow some and share and swap out with all the different people in different farms and all that. We didn't have all these processed foods,
Everything's in the
all
box
these
now.
commercials that's tempting and promoting people. And then on top of that, we didn't have as much of the mental health issues that we have today because of people being depressed and
It's stress,
having
yeah.
anxiety and stress. Now they eat based on all these things too. So all these things
And the wrong thing. They eat the wrong things too.
Right. All these things are piling up to cause us to not have our better health in place. But we have solutions for that, I'm sure.
So I'll tell you, because something you mentioned there about growing your own food and swapping out and stuff, that speaks to, again, at a high level on the healthcare and the administrative side and just understanding the corporate business of health.
Right.
It talks about the social economic disparities of health and the inequalities that exist there in different communities. And what the world has come to, like Nesby mentioned, we're not growing our own food. When you're not growing your own food, you don't need help growing your own food. What does that do to the family? What does that do to your environment? That means less people are sticking together to cultivate the environment, the food, the things that we're consuming, and the relationships that go with that, of going out there in the field together and, growing greens or being out there and helping your mom pull weeds out the gardens, right? So we're missing some of the relationship that went with that kept families close. Right. And then if you look at, I want to say it was the Harvard study, so if I'm wrong, I'm sorry, somebody correct me in the comments.
There was a study somewhere.
Yeah, there was a study somewhere.
It was a scholarly study?
It was a scholarly study, and it's been done over a long period of time that talks about the one thing that determines length of life that was most impactful, right? Like
all right, before you go any further, for those of you who are watching, if you want to find scholarly information when you go online, just put the word scholarly : and then you'll find the information you need. Because there's a lot of opinion, even when it comes to health and fitness. You got people just doing certain things, but when you look up the scholarly information, you have the right information available to you that people have studied or that has been
peer review.
Through some people who actually are in those professions or have actually been there and done that.
Well, to help out, Malik, you can just put that in the link in the bottom to where they can just easily
Google Scholar.
Yeah, they can just easily click on it, and if somebody wants to take it a step further, hopefully you will.
Yeah, for sure. But the study talks about
why you sound so serious today?
It's a serious matter. It's our health.
Yeah, our health is serious. It's my passion.
And Trinity, you're not the father.
It's my passion.
So
health is a passion because it's what is really destroying America, not just our people.
Oh yeah,
it's America.
Yeah, we're the fattest country on the planet.
Exactly.
It's
here in Memphis,
we have like the most billionaires and millionaires. Yeah, so here's another thing. Before I go about the study and even more, monetary gain is not necessarily a factor that determines how healthy you are or not. It gives you options.
Economic status?
Yeah, economic status. It's not necessarily something that determines if you're healthy or not, because you can have a trainer go to the gym and do all of that, but be terrible mentally, and then you see millionaires committing suicide,
stress and
right? So if the impact of your health is determined by what people like to see as like how long you live, well then killing yourself at 42 as a billionaire because you're unhappy shows me that there's something unhealthy there. It's just not seen or measured the same way you measure cancer, diabetes, high blood pressure, right? Because mental health is so intangible versus something like those metrics and those numbers and those tests that you can actually measure. So those things matter when you take a step back and say, okay, if I want to be healthy and I'm thinking about just trying to make money, like, is money really going to help me live a long, healthy life? It can, but there are other factors that are more important. And it's kind of like asking yourself.
It makes it easier.
Yeah, it makes it easier for sure. It makes it easier for sure, but it's not the only factor. It's just weighted in terms of options. And then on top of that, you don't necessarily need that to be healthy. You can go buy fruits and veggies because people talk about their food, and I promise I'm gonna get back to the article.
It is very hard to buy that food because
in food deserts
in certain neighborhoods where you can't get.
You gotta travel an hour,
and a lot of people don't have that transportation.
And that's why we have the advent of community gardens that need to be pushed more, for sure, in urban communities that have those food deserts, right? Because what you consume is going to depict your mood, for sure. Hands down. So a lot of the anger and anguish that we have in communities that are underprivileged and lower income is not only because they're in that situation, but it's because they're eating food that doesn't help them get out that situation. You don't feel good when you eat, only hot dogs and ramen noodles. But you feel a lot better when you eat spinach and veggies and get a decent amount of protein and healthy carbs. Like your energy is different. When your energy is different, your actions are different, right? So
your mental state is
exactly. So to go back, right, to even link that, right, to have your energy is different, your actions are different. When you have that energy in a community and an environment, and everybody has that same energy, and now you're clashing, it's like the number one thing that study talks about is relationships. Relationships depict, like how good
family
and great, like friendships, family relationships, intimate relationships, all of that matters as a whole more than probably anything else in terms of like how long people lived and how happy they were.
That's interesting, yeah.
So again, food deserts, bad moods, not working out, so no energy because you're not putting on muscle where you can store carbohydrates to have energy.
Yeah, the
right?
glucose,
Yep. So you don't have any of the right nutrients to have the energy to do the right actions, and then you're having to have relationships with people while you feel terrible, and then things get misconstrued, and then you have the cycle because we're not treating the source. And that's
so as a human population, we're just all messed up.
So it's not one fix.
and again,
it's a combination of a lot of things that we need to work on, not just what we consume by eating and drinking. It's other things that factor into our health,
Right.
community, all our environment.
Right. So they have something in statistics called the Laffer curve, right? And for most people, it's just the normal distribution curve. It's that curve that goes like this, is big in the middle and skinny at the ends. And most people fall within the normal distribution.
2 standard deviations.
Right. Within 2 standard deviations of the normal distribution, or the median.
The median.
So when we look at what we just talked about, we have to understand that most people are falling in this unhealthy category. That's where they're distributed there, right? And then you have the extreme where it's like super, super unhealthy, and then you have the extreme where it's super, super healthy. And it's about moving the curve to where the middle of the curve starts to be at least healthy, right? We have to get that curve to move, and the only way we do that is with treating the things that actually matter, and that is the relationships and the food, in my opinion, right? We can get you to be physical if I can get you to have a relationship with me as a personal trainer when I was, doing more training, right? I can get you to work with me and try to figure out how to connect you to the right resources when we don't argue with each other about things in the hospital, and we argue about more about, what we need to fix instead of how we feel about the fixing. Because I can tell you this, right? I didn't have any bad blood with anybody in the hospital, but I saw people who did. And I always thought about it as, if we're talking about healthcare and helping people and just health in general, it doesn't matter if I like you, if you like me, etc. We're trying to help this avatar, this person, or this particular patient. It might be an actual patient in the hospital that we're focusing on and studying to try to increase our outcomes and have better outcomes for our patient population. I don't have to like you to do that. We can disagree on a lot of different things. But if we can come together and talk about the solutions that need to happen for us to get the best care to people, then we're going in the right direction. We don't have to be buddy-buddy outside the hospital, but we have to be able to work together. And I think there's so much of the political bullshit, to be quite frankly, in a lot of these systems. You know what I'm saying? Even the one I worked for, right? Like, it's nothing against them. It's nothing against Baptist. It's nothing against Tenet. It's nothing against HCA. It's nothing against Ochsner. It's nothing against the schools, these universities out here who have their hospitals. But there's so much bureaucratic shit in it that doesn't have anything to do with helping people. And I think that might have been one of my frustrations that I had there. In general, just even going through school, I used to challenge professors because it's like, why are we talking about things that people aren't actually going to do? We're talking about theory. Let's talk about what actually helps people. Because again, at that point, I was already personal training. So I knew what we're talking about in class is just treating symptoms. It's not treating problems. And then when I found out that doctors don't get barely any nutrition schooling
at all.
in school, and I'm saying like, well, isn't the basis of medicine food?
And a lot of doctors nowadays, not just doctors, but nurses, all those who are in the medical field, they feel like they've been bamboozled at the point of that they don't know all those sorts of things. Because when they're in school, they're taught a lot about the pharmaceutical
Yeah,
side
how
of
to
things
treat
and
symptoms.
how to treat symptoms,
That's
but
it.
now not
Yeah.
really practicing medicine like doctors of old
Yeah.
used to do. Well, majority of the doctors would do. So they are. It is a big challenge,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it's left up to each individual to know what's best for them, because nobody should know your body better than you do.
Nobody can know your body better
Nobody
than you
can. That's what it should be.
do. I mean,
But a
well,
lot of times they don't, because
right.
people don't pay attention to it. They'll just do whatever the doctor says, and they don't do any research, any studies.
Yeah.
I had a administrative assistant one time in the past. She was very overweight, obese. She was losing her hair, nails were bad. I mean, she was just going through some things. She was taking care of family matters and all of that. And once I had left from there, I saw her a couple of years later in the store. And at first I had to look twice. I was like, yeah, that's her.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife and I, we talked to her for a minute. And what she talked about was this. She said, well, what I did was, the doctor was talking about my blood pressure, talking about cholesterol, talking about all these other ailments that I had. He'd give me some medication.
Medication. Yeah.
She said,
Typical.
yes. And she said, well, I'm determined this time I'm not going to focus on that. I'm going to focus on what's really going wrong with my body. So she did some research with different clinics and different institutes and different scholarly studies and all that. She came up with her own regimen, all right? Exercising, eating particular things that would help rid those ailments that she had. And she was going back to the doctor, okay? She'd go to the doctor, and the doctor said, oh, like you're doing better. But just keep taking the prescriptions that I gave you, Laura. But she was not taking the
But she
prescription.
wasn't taking them, yeah.
All right? So finally, when she met her goal, she had lost a lot of weight.
Really?
She was in shape. As a matter of fact, she wore all these big dresses
Yeah,
and
yeah, cover
everything
herself
back
up.
then. But when we saw her at the store, she had on some fitness gear. She had a fitness top and
Yeah, yeah,
pants
yeah.
on. You know, it was just a whole different woman.
Transformation, right?
And so finally, after she had met her goal, she told the doctor. She said, I wasn't taking the medicine. I did some research and came with my own solutions, and that's how I got to this point where my cholesterol was down where it's supposed to be, where I didn't have the high blood pressure, where I wasn't where my bones and my body wasn't aching, and it was all because of what she determined for herself. You know, just like when you say with the environment, though, that goes along with that, because you have to you can manage your own environment.
Yeah.
You can dictate on what you have and don't have, what you're going to do and not do it. Like you said, you don't have to necessarily be where everybody's sprinting and running, because it takes a longer time to recover from the run. But walking actually is the best form of exercise you can have if you're trying to get in shape or to lose weight and to get yourself better. So how does that, I mean, what can we say to the people to make sure they are being more self-sufficient and getting in that direction?
Self-aware.
So
yeah, because you got all these different tools out here. I don't care if it's in the
The
Bible.
internet is incredible, man.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
nah,
but even in the Bible, I mean, you got the what they call the Daniel diet, but
Oh, yeah.
it's actually God's diet, and it does work. But whether it's in the Bible or some other instructional book or anything else like that,
Well, before
how
you
can
answer
people become
that,
more self-sufficient?
I think, just my opinion, it has to come from a lot of different sources. Mainly, education. We're failing our kids in the beginning. We grew up with that pyramid about healthy foods and all that, with the vegetables with the base, and you got grains and rice and potatoes and chicken and all that stuff.
Then they changed it.
It's
again.
constantly
they just
being
changed it for
based on-
2025.
And then
you change it based on politics and lobbying.
right, and I think keeping us in the dark, a lot of people in power profit from it. So we will have to get with our Congress people, which we only see come election time, and we need to come together and force people to make changes. I mean, when you look at the back of these boxes products, majority of the products that's on the back you can't pronounce. You
Well,
know,
you don't even know what they are. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't know what
That's
they
true.
are. You can't
That's true.
pronounce it. You know, and if you take it individually, it'll kill you.
it'll kill you. Yeah,
You know, so
it's
if-
carcinogenic. Some of those products.
and,
The
and,
majority
and when it
of
comes to the medicine, a lot of the medicine is
Yeah,
the same
cure
way.
is worse than the disease or the
Exactly.
yeah.
So
you read the side effects, you die from those.
if we can
Right.
get, you know, unfortunately, a lot of things have to go through government. If we can figure out a way, if they refuse to make any changes because pharmaceutical companies, and the lobbyists for them are much stronger than we are, they have way more money. If there's some kind of way that we can make a change, like what we're trying to do today with the podcast, to help educate people of what to eat, what not to eat, what medicine you should take, what, you know, sometimes you don't have to take medicine, just like what your friend did, to make a change or a difference in your life. You know,
And we're not saying don't take your medicine.
Yeah, definitely
You have
not
to
saying
consult
that.
your
Always
physician
consult your physician.
and all
Yeah.
that to make sure you got what you need.
but there is a natural way, just like food is medicine.
Yeah, yeah.
Food is the medicine.
And another thing too, medicine. A lot of people don't realize this.
It's derived
Medicine is
from
not a cure.
yeah,
The prescriptions are meant to suppress your symptoms.
Yeah.
So while your symptoms are suppressed,
You still
that's
have
a good time to actually find a solution.
And you still
that
have an
actually
underlying
works.
problem.
Right, right, right.
You haven't solved the problem.
And I was
Hadn't-
surprised. I
have
was
not solved
appalled
the
that, you know, when you said that the people are doing this, the people who got who are in charge are doing this because for profit. So you're saying
You said your
all
name
this
was-
is happening for
Your
money?
name was Paul. I thought your name was Trini.
I didn't say my name was.
You
Paul.
said you were Paul.
Appalled.
Okay. I thought you said your name was
Understand the
Paul.
language. Do you understand what that word means?
I thought you said your name was Paul.
You thought.
But what Malik said, I mean, if you listen to what Malik, one thing you left out, because you talked about the administration and how sometimes you had issues with how they were not addressing patient issues, but
Well, no.
dealing with politics.
Let me clear that up before.
Let me say something. I just want to say this. What you didn't add in was exactly what Adam was talking about. Sometimes it's not just politics and organizational issues. It's money. And that's the motivating factor behind some of these decisions they make in these hospitals.
Exactly. We are all collateral damage.
So
Look, they do not care about you. They don't care about me. They don't care about you. It's all about money. They keep us sick. They keep us stupid. They keep us dumb. They keep us in the dark. Wake up. I'm not saying be woke. I'm not going that direction, but do some education. I mean, do some research.
I like wake up
Find
better.
out what you're putting in your body,
Yeah.
absolutely.
and you will see a change.
Yeah.
I'm saying that now. I'm not trying to be hypocritical because when I was younger, I didn't give a damn. I would eat anything, almost anything, and you know I was young. I felt invincible.
Exactly.
But when you get older,
Yeah.
things start changing. It's harder to get out of bed without making noises. You know, you gonna get there eventually.
It sounds a little creaky.
Oh man, stuff be popping. It sound like Rice Krispies getting
and
out
I
of bed.
think,
But we need to, when we get older, we shouldn't wait till you get older
Yeah.
to understand what's going on. It's, you know,
no,
it's
you're on the
compound
right
interest.
track. You have to
So
self-educate.
if you start early
Yeah.
with compound interest,
Yeah.
you will get rich.
You
It's the
have
same
to.
thing with health. You know, if you start early,
Yeah.
you can be healthier later. It's best to live a
Well, it doesn't matter
healthier
when you
life
start,
early.
you
I
have
mean,
to
later
start.
than early.
You have to because I think what Malik is saying and what Adam is saying and what all of us are saying is the same thing. You have to start.
Yes.
It has to be something that you have to do for yourself. You're not doing this for anyone else. You're not relying on the doctors, the administrators, the nutritionists.
Well, you're
have
also
to-
doing it for your family because you want to
Well,
be there
yeah.
for your kids.
Yeah, of course. But you have to take a personal responsibility. And this is not about going out asking someone to help you do it. The research, as Trini mentioned earlier, you can do your own investigation of the medication you're taking. What I do a combination of three things. I research the healthcare facility to see if they had any lawsuits. I research the doctor to see what, and then I ask the doctor for references. And then whatever the doctor prescribes for me, I research that. And I'll just go into something what I did briefly. I just had a child recently, and my
Congratulations.
You had a child?
had a
Congratulations.
child.
Man, a
He's
man can't have a
yeah,
baby.
He's 6 months old.
You delivered a baby?
No, I didn't do that. But he's 6 months old.
He paying for it though.
I know, right?
But he's 6 months old today, and what I did was my wife, yeah, 6 months. It's been 6
Wow,
months,
that time
and
is
my wife
fast,
is
fast.
breastfeeding, but
Does he
she's
have a
also
job yet?
huh?
Does he have a job yet?
Son.
Soon. But my wife is breastfeeding, so what I did was, when you breastfeed, you also supplement with the
Right.
Formula.
the formulas.
Yeah.
So what I did was I researched the formula she was buying, and in that formula, one thing, and I may mention this later, but one thing that my research has taught me is that the number one killer of most people in America is seed oils. They're poisonous and they're rancid. So anyway, long story short, I looked on the ingredient list of this the formula that she was feeding our baby, and it had rapeseed oil and some other these poisonous oils like a canola oil, which is poison. All these poisons, corn oil, all these so-called healthy vegetable oils, which are actually poisonous
It's a lie.
and cannot be metabolized by your liver. She was
Right.
feeding our young baby. It was in the formula. So what I did was I researched and I found a formula out of Europe. It was approved in the EU, and it didn't have any of those seed oils in it. And we switched over formulas, and it changed the way our baby is now digesting food. So that's just
Wow.
an example
Amazing,
of
right?
how you have to look on the labels, as Malik said. Another example of what Adam was saying was how you have to take personal responsibility. And following up what Trini said, you have to be able to know that someone's benefiting from these products, and you have to be the one that takes the responsibility to make a change. So I just want to add to what you were saying, Adam.
And very, very true, because, and I tell people to do this all the time, because I know people who've had migraines and all these different types of things, and I ask them about what they're eating,
Direct.
Well, a lot of processed foods have those dyes in them.
Oh yeah.
And if you look at the studies now, don't
The
take
red
my
dye.
word.
For the
Study
people-
for yourself.
For the people
These-
who don't understand
these
what processed
dyes,
food is, from the
If it's in a
expert,
box, it's processed.
If it's in a
explain
box,
what the
yeah.
processed
Yeah,
food
so
is.
so anything that
Ultra
had-
processed.
generally in a box, in a can, anything that doesn't really have an expiration date. So you got stuff like macaroni and cheese noodles. That's obviously noodles are a little bit more difficult, but those are processed, meaning that they don't expire. Right, non-perishables are a lot of processed food.
They got tomatoes that expire in December 2035. or something.
Yeah, and
But
it's
they
like
have
it's like you go to the garden and you don't pick that tomato after it gets ripe, it goes bad,
right.
right? So
So that is the processed foods. But let me finish this. They were having the migraines. The dye that's in these foods, these processed foods, cause migraines, which, migraines in your head, messing up your brain, and your brain also contributes to everything in regards to your lifestyle and your mental state and all of that. So now we got all these added depressions and stresses and anxieties, and it's a work in progress,
It's an
right?
avalanche,
but in the wrong
man.
direction.
It's an avalanche.
So we do have to become self-aware
It's an avalanche,
so we can
I
eat the
tell
right thing. As a matter of fact, when you go in that store, if you stay around the outside
Mm-hmm.
of the store versus the inside,
see
inner
the-
parts of the store,
you'll see the
you'll do
difference.
better, because now you got all the produce, you got all the other things that are fresh and whole around the outside.
And the
Those
inside.
those aisles are the ones that
boxes,
contain all the processed foods you want that you can get, that's going to cause you all those issues. That's what I see. So we have to be careful and have to be more aware on what we have and what we're doing. And we have a solution now.
What's
But
the
that,
We got-
that
we
doesn't
have
work
an
at
answer.
that doesn't work at the liquor store, because when you go to the liquor store and you go around the outside aisles,
It's the small bottles in the wine.
The cheap stuff. The cheap stuff.
No. So what's the solution, Trey? I want to hear what yours. I think all of us can offer a solution. What's your solution? I mean, Malik has offered some solutions. What's yours?
I want to get Malik's solution first.
all right, well, so my solution is always start with fitness, actual fitness, right? Walking,
Physical
yeah,
exercise?
physical exercise and mental purging of bad things, right? Like there's so much stuff on social media that is a lie, that isn't research backed. We just have to take initiative about our health. This is the first environment that you've ever encountered and had, and we do such a bad job sometimes at taking care of it. Everything in here, from our toes to our brains to our fingernails, right? Like just everything. So I think starting there is best. You don't need a personal trainer, although I still, train some people online here and there. And we also still got Unconquered Fitness going. So if you're looking for a trainer or some health, then hit us up. Especially my boy Marcus, because he's built like a tank. He been like that since 10th grade. So like fitness is ingrained in him, and myself.
We all want that Marcus body.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like my dog.
Yeah,
my
but
dog
we don't want to do what
Yeah,
it
man.
takes.
But
to
see,
get
that's the thing, and that's what I want to get at. You have to be willing to do what it takes, because we always talk about, again, how it's not affordable to do some of these things, but then we don't compare what it costs to have a trainer for, $6,000 a year. What's that? $500 a month for 12 months. $6,000 a year. If you make, again, depending on your economic status, sometimes we have group specials, different things. Like, we can find things that work. But for $6,000 a year for most people that make enough money to pay that, you can avoid so many ailments. Diabetes costs more than $6,000 a year. Cancer costs more than $6,000 a year. High blood pressure costs more than $6,000 a year. Getting hurt and falling in your old age because you don't have enough strength because you didn't do strength trainings. And bone density that you lose because you didn't lift while you were younger.
You either pay now or you pay later.
Exactly. And what you have to pay later costs more, because just fundamental finance tells you that $1 today is worth less tomorrow. Exactly. So if it costs you $6,000 now to train and get your body healthy that you didn't do, and then you wait till when it costs $50,000 to treat diabetes or something, or your prescriptions, just know that $50,000 is right now. That $50,000 later might be $75,000.
Right.
Because you weren't willing to spend the $6,000. And then the thing about it is, if you really have a good trainer, and this is how I train, I don't know how everybody else trains. I train you not to need me. My goal is for you to not use me at some point. Right? Whether that's nutrition coaching, whether that's actual training, whether it's I train athletes, my goal is for you not to need me, but to want to use my services and have a relationship with me forever.
Because let me go back over this with Malik. Malik is a nutritionist. He's also
nutrition
a
coach. There's a difference there, because I don't want the nutritionists that went to school for it
he don't want
jumping
folks to come
me.
after him.
So nutrition coach.
Nutrition coach, but he also a fitness coach. He has a business, Unconquered Fitness, that we've been working with over the past year as well. But you can get in touch with him. We'll have a link in the description for you to follow as well in regards to that. Along with that, though, in addition to Malik, we had an idea that Adam actually came up with for us to have a fitness challenge. And we're going to go into that fitness challenge starting at the 1st of February.
Or the end of
January. But can you elaborate more in regards
what we're
to
going to do is we're going to everybody does a challenge. I mean, you can see all kind of challenges on social media. But what we want to do is 10,000 steps a day challenge. I don't want to say for 30 days or anything like that. I want to say for life. But on the app with Methodist Hospital, it's Healthier 901. We have to put down a time frame. But I would hope that if you continue to do this over and over again, you would develop a habit to where you're walking 10,000 steps a day. And as we said earlier, walking is the best form of exercise. One of the best.
Yeah, absolutely.
Swimming too,
Yeah.
Swimming and walking for sure.
Do you know how to swim? Do you know how to swim?
I do.
Yeah, I got thrown in the pool, figured out. So
Okay,
I can drown better than I swim, but
no, that's not healthy. But so Adam, that's yours, walking. So Trent, I'm gonna give mine last because I want to say two things. Go ahead.
That's not my solution though.
Okay,
but
okay.
That's something else.
Okay, so
that's one of the challenges that
gave his.
we want to do to help motivate people to do the smart thing. But my solution is. Follow certain people. I like to follow Dr. Bobby Price on YouTube, CB. There's another guy that just blew my mind. I forgot what his name was. But there are people out there.
In the link below.
Yeah, we will put it in.
We'll talk about different ones.
Each one of us will put our suggestions in the link below.
They do things raw. I've gone off and on, and I'm going back on this year, going raw with the food that I eat for a period of time to detox my body. there was an issue that I was having to where I had to go raw, and my body changed big time. I went back to eating regular food, unfortunately, and I gained a lot of weight back. And I see the difference. My mood is different, my activity is different, my energy level is different. So I'm going back to eating nothing but raw. So my solution is do some research, follow certain people after you do that research, and eat raw.
And what he's saying about eating raw, we're talking about fruits and vegetables, because you do feel that difference. I know myself as well. Can feel it. You don't feel groggy when you wake up in the morning. You feel more energized. Your body processes things more. Your mind and your brain is more alert, and you're not as foggy throughout the day. There's a lot of other benefits that come along with that. And let me tell you about this as well. Like you said, we're not putting any dates with this because this is going to be a continual thing in regards to the Memphis Sounds Fit Challenge. We're going to keep talking about that for months and years to come, so people can get involved, because we got other products that we'll introduce you to, other fitness programs that we'll probably host as well. And this is not a Memphis thing. This is a global thing. So we'll be all over the country and all over the world, still yet sharing the Memphis Sounds Fit Challenge, so people can get fit, get right, get it done, no matter where you are around the world, because all of us are going different places. But while we're in those different places, you'll see clips of us.
We're going to Dubai, so we want that body.
Dubai and the Victoria Falls, and which is in Zimbabwe, and some other places as well. So, but we'll be showing that fitness stuff along the way while we're doing that. Okay. So hey, we got it going, but
no, yours. You want me to go, or you want to go?
You go.
Okay. So there are a couple of things that I would think that are healthy choices, and I mentioned a couple things, and I'll put them in categories. And these are things not to do and things to do. So first I'll talk about things not to do, or things not to eat. One thing Malik mentioned, and I hate to repeat what he said, but one of the most important things is your mental state. So number one, reduce stress, and that involves stressful people. So one of the first things I learned as a young child was eliminate people that cause stress, and that, unfortunately, that means eliminating people from your life. But that would be one of the solutions. And quite honestly, that's one of the easier things to do is stop dealing with toxic people and eliminate that stress, because stress increases cortisol, which is inflammatory and will reduce your health overall. So that's number one. Yeah. Number two, my suggestion, and this is something I do with my family, my mother does it, and all my family, we have cut out seed oils. And that's a difficult thing to do. And when I say seed oils, I'm talking about palm oil, canola oil, sesame seed oil, corn oil. All these different oils are rancid oils, and your liver cannot metabolize these oils. This is one of the reasons that most of Americans die early, because your liver cannot metabolize these seed oils. And they have, in the black community, that's one of the major issues in our community, is that we use these oils for cooking, for everything, and they're poisonous. In my household, we use coconut oil, we use butter, and people say butter isn't healthy. That's not true. It depends on the butter you buy, but so that's number two. Number three is that.
What about lard?
If it's an animal fat, yes, and I'll get into that in a minute, because that's one of the other things. So number three is being able to reduce sugar content in that you consume, all the sugar. And when I say sugar, I'm not talking about table sugar, because that's obvious. I'm talking about breads, pastas, cornflakes, graham crackers, all the crackers, all that stuff is just pure sugar. And when you consume it, what you do, you increase your insulin level, and now you're heading toward type 2 diabetes if you aren't already a diabetic. But those are the three things: the stress, the seed oils, and the consumption of carbohydrates, overly consumption of sugar that turns into glucose in your body and increases your insulin level. The big problem in the world today is insulin, and I'll include in the comments below some of the people I follow in terms of keeping your insulin level low and not getting to insulin resistance, which is the biggest killer of Americans that we have, insulin resistance, which causes type 2 diabetes, and which causes Alzheimer's, which Alzheimer's is diagnosed It's type 3 diabetes. People don't understand that Alzheimer's is not a disease. It's type 3 diabetes. So, and the fourth thing I would suggest, and this is something CB talks about, but something that I grew up knowing about, but I never did it, and I started doing it at a later age. And the last thing I'll say is fasting. Fasting is the most effective way for a health that you'll ever experience. If you fast, if you're able to get into fasting and do some research, there's some peer-reviewed papers that the guy, this one guy, he just got, I think he got a, the Nobel Prize for his work in fasting and how it increases your ketones in your body. And to be ketonic means that you're burning fat and you're not burning glucose. If you can have your body in ketones, you will burn fat, and the fat will disappear from your body, because as long as you're burning glucose, you cannot burn fat. And that's how most people have belly fat, visceral fat, all kind of fat over their body and their thighs, because their body can't burn the fat because it's always burning glucose, because your insulin level is insulin insensitive. I'm sorry, and so your body is always in glucose burning mode, which is sugar. Your body will burn sugar before it burns anything else. So those are the four things I would suggest. The stress level, as Malik mentioned, being able to reduce seed oils in your body, never consume them. They're not good for you. You know, if you have to cook, use butter, use animal fats, use coconut oil, which is the best oil, that's refined oil you can use. And if you have cold, like salads, you can't cook with certain oils like the olive oil. You can't cook with olive oil because this is a low smoke point. You have to use that for cold dressings, but you can use coconut oil and ghee oil or ghee butter for hot applications like you're frying food. And then number 3 is reduce the sugar content in your body, which is carbohydrates, sugars, crackers, breads, pastas, spaghetti, all that kind of stuff. And then the fourth thing, of course, is try to eat one meal a day, or try to reduce your consumption of food to give your body a chance to rest and give your body a chance to digest the food, and then try to get in a ketonic state where your body will convert from burning glucose to burning fat. Your body cannot do both at the same time. You cannot burn fat and glucose at the same time. You have to, it's either one or the other. So that's my suggestion.
Got you. So I know we got to wrap in a second. I ain't trying to hold it up, but I do want to expand upon the things that you mentioned about your body burning fat versus burning glucose. One way that he's talking about is how, if you're just living, right, like let's say you're not working out or something like that, your body burns fat at a lower heart rate, lower activity level, lower perceived rate of exertion than it does to burn carbs, right? Your body it wants to burn carbs first, like you mentioned, right? It rather burn carbs, but it'll burn fat if it doesn't have enough carbs to do so. And if you're on a low carb diet or even a no carb diet. Now, here's the distinction you have to make. Your body is like a vehicle. So if you're going to do that, you have to understand what type of vehicle that is. Right. That's a long range, slow vehicle. Think of it more like a tank, not from a size standpoint, but from a how fast it's moving standpoint. Your days are generally slower. You're not exerting a lot of energy. You don't work out that much, but you don't want to gain weight. You don't want to get fat. You still want to be healthy. And maybe that's because you got a busy lifestyle. You just don't have time to do some of the other things that health freaks can do, right? You're not a fitness trainer. You don't have a trainer that you can afford or are affording right now, and that's your lifestyle. Now, for other people who have more active lifestyle, it's about getting the right type of carbs, right? The low glycemic index carbs that don't spike your insulin. Right. And also understand when you're eating food, the way I look at food and the way I train people to look at food as a nutrition coach is that you're either eating protein or carbohydrate or fat. Generally, these things are mixed in, right, in some kind of form or fashion. You at least have 2 out of the 3 in each thing that you eat. If you're eating meat, you probably have protein and fat. If you're eating bread, then it might be, straight carbohydrates, right? If you're eating cashews, it might be fat and protein because those nuts and stuff like that have that component to it. Yeah. So understanding what you're eating has 1 or 2 of these things in it and then balancing that out. And if you need help balancing that out, that's when you reach out.
Yeah, that's when you reach
right,
out.
like you reach out to get a nutrition coach, you reach out to get a trainer, or you can go purchase guides, or we can, create guides based on your lifestyle. But you can't go out and not put the right fuel in the right vehicle. You eat based on the activity level that you have. You can be very high carbohydrate if you're an athlete.
And if you're burning the carbs.
Right. You have to go burn it. Yeah. It's when you have excess that it gets turned from carbohydrate to glucose. And then when unused glucose is still in your system, it turns into fat. Thus, the insulin resistance, etc. All of that stuff is I'm not going to go super deep into the science, but you also want to make sure that you're not leaving too much sugar in your bloodstream and in your body that's not getting used. And then, boom, now it turns into fat. And then also, from a blood sugar standpoint, the artificial sweeteners, the BS in the processed foods,
which is
all of that stuff spikes your insulin
is,
response.
It is addictive. They've made these additives addictive.
Very true.
So when I told you once before that they don't care about you, if you do the study, they make super sugars. They put it in
sugar in everything.
But there's that super sugar that they put in to make everything addictive. When they make a commercial saying, "I bet you can't eat just one," they did that for a reason. They're letting you know that we're putting additives in these foods to make you crave these foods, and then on top of it, they run commercials 24/7 on all different kind of foods
for kids.
that make you want this food that ain't good for you, and you got to have it even when you're not hungry.
Yeah, but you're saying they don't care.
They don't care.
I say they do care.
They care that you eat it.
That you eat
it depends on who. It depends on who.
They don't care about your health.
They care that you eat, that you purchase those items and take them and buy them again and again and again. That's what they care about. They don't care about your health. They don't care about your life or anything like that. It's left up to you. One last thing I want to share in regards to that is, I watched this show one time. It's been a couple of decades ago, and they were interviewing.
Was it in color?
Yeah, it was in color.
Oh, okay.
They were interviewing.
You are kind of old.
They were interviewing the CEO of one of the food companies, processed foods, with all the
P&G.
All yes.
Yeah,
Nabisco, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, interviewed the guy. They was going with him throughout his day, and so he starts early and goes to office, all these meetings. They also went with him at home. He was a very slim guy. They went home with him and saw his wife and children and all that. They were videoing. They were talking about how they ate when they were at home, and they were videoing. They said, "Well, what we noticed was he didn't have any of their products." In his cabinets and in his pantries.
You know why?
They didn't eat any of those during their meals.
Well, if we gonna go there, then it's don't get high on your own supply, right? We don't get
high on your supply.
I mean, like, look. So, I'm from South Memphis, right? Like, I'm not trying to. I'm very well educated, and I can go talk to anybody in the trenches. However you want to do it, we can do that. A lot of the things, I would say a lot of the things that we talk about.
That's what I was trying to mention.
Yeah, we can go where you want to go, but it's not. I don't want to, right? We eliminate stress and stressful people out of our lives.
Exactly.
So I'm not privy to go there, but a lot of things that we understand from the environment that we came up in and that we've seen and that's developed over time. Yes. You can take those same principles and you can see it in the corporate world, right? Yeah. So, like when you say they don't care, it depends on who the they is, because some of the theys that care still have to run a business. And and that's what I think healthcare has turned into in this country. Yeah, it's turned into a situation where there are some corrupt stuff in that space, right? Yeah. From government to facilities to
the pharmaceutical.
Yeah, just pharmacy, everything, right? There's these layers of corruption that's embedded in it because political bureaucracy exists in corporate America. We cannot get rid of that. The issue becomes when you have the people that do care, that are trying to get you better, and then you don't take the action, and it's like, well, we still got to run the business. So then we come up with the ways to help you suppress the symptoms. Because if you're not going to change your actions, then I got to give you something that's going to at least help you not feel this way. Yeah. And I think that's where so many people are.
I think that's where we are in America.
Yeah, I think that's
People
where
are
we are.
stubborn.
Medicate the problem.
I think
away.
medical around the world is that way.
Yeah, you just medicate them.
Because they're not going to change. So instead of trying to make them change,
Yeah.
because again, it's like trying to stop violence and crime. It's like there's never going to not be violence and crime because there's haves and have-nots. And the people that want to have, that don't understand how to get there systematically and do the right things, are just going to go to the other way, which is the way that you don't do it, because you could end up in jail. You're taking unnecessary risks, right? So the have and have not exist in every industry, including medical. And the have nots in medical are the people that have the chance to change, because all they have to do is do the research, educate themselves, and then from there, okay, let me take the steps that I can. It may not be perfect, but if I can start this path, maybe
even
I
small
change.
step. Every journey starts with a step.
Exactly.
Right.
And again, like I said, you can go a lot further walking than you can sprinting, because you don't have to take as many breaks. I can walk 10 miles walking. I can't sprint 10 miles straight, right?
And that's what we want to do. We want to help as many people as possible get started, or also to help people to keep going and to keep going and to keep going. That's what the Memphis Sounds Lounge show and our fitness portion will be about. So we're going to start that in just a matter of time at the beginning of this year in 2025. And then also, if you can mark your calendar for March 5th, we'll be facilitating a health literacy workshop for a couple hours. And that's going to take place at Christian Brothers University. You'll be able to get those details as well, because we want to make sure that we can help the young adults, and it's open to the community as well, but so that everybody can actually
Is there a cost?
gain some literacy. No, it will not be any cost.
So it's free. That's one of our favorite words, free.
Yeah, at no cost to you. No cost to you.
It's one of my favorite words. I don't know about y'all.
I like the word free.
So and
It's a
these
good
are,
4-letter word.
right, but along with this, now this is just the beginning of something.
Yeah, I can think of some good 4-letter words.
Hey, man.
These are just some of one of the events that a couple of events we'll have. We'll have some more events as well in regards to wealth, in regards to spiritual well-being. We'll have all these different types of things to be coming as a part of the
In 2025.
Memphis Sounds Lounge show and how we develop. We're gonna have a massive big event that we look forward to having and taking place. We'll give you those dates as well. But we want you to subscribe to our channel while you can
Like
right
and
now.
subscribe.
Subscribe and like and share.
us
Memphis
a
Sounds
thumbs up.
Lounge show presented by Star News VIP. And at Star News VIP, we'll have some articles as well in regards to fitness, in regards to some other categories as well. So we have to make sure that we want to educate the community, not just here locally, but globally all around the world. And I'm excited. I'm excited about it. And I think we have the right combination of people who can make a difference in people's lives. And that's what we want to do, have a positive image for people to look at and be able to share with others as well.
I also want to say this, and I'm intentionally rubbing people the wrong way. Why the hell not? Why can't you make a change? Is it convenience? Is it because you don't want to? Is it money? Is it money?
Yeah. But as Malik said, you pay now or you're gonna pay later.
Yeah.
You're gonna pay.
So
there's a cost. So
basically, exactly. Just if you want to make a change, if you want to be around for your kids and see them walk down the aisle, if you want to feel better throughout the day,
quality of life.
If you want to continue to have sex, if you want to continue to look good in your clothes, if you want to continue to move without pain, do the right thing. Make a change. I mean, you ain't got to do it because we're doing this podcast or
because Michael Jackson wrote that Sunday song made that change. But go ahead.
But just do something. You ain't got to do everything like eat raw or cut this out and do the 10,000 steps. Do 5, do 3, do something. Yeah. Just move your ass.
And we'll put the links below. Adam will put his links. Trini, Malik, myself, we'll put our links below of things that we do, and you can look for those different opportunities, and whatever works for you, please do something.
And I will go a little bit further.
You have to do something.
There is a app on my phone called Move.
Move? Tell us about it.
It's Move app, and it shows you the number of steps, number of calories. You know,
It's
a
a
lot of
health
people
app.
have it. It's a health. Yeah, a lot of people have it on their phone, and I will put my progress to show you that I'm not being hypocritical, that I'm not just sitting here talking shit, because I will do that. Are we editing that out? Is that going to be bleeped out?
I don't know.
Okay. But, I will do it. But I will, put my money where my mouth is and show you what I'm doing. And I will get on the scale and show you the weight loss. So I don't want to do it by myself, and I don't want you to do it by yourself. And I think we can do this all together and make a difference in our city. Now, I am a homer for Memphis. I always got some kind of Memphis gear on one way or another. I would like to see my home get healthier. My wife is in the health industry.
That's right, yeah.
My uncle and cousins, they're all doctors. And I hear the horror stories. I hear and I see people when I go to their jobs. I see the suffering. And I hear the stories about, it's a shame that they would care more about someone else's life than that actual person. They, a lot of people will not do what they're supposed to do for, many different reasons. Maybe because, they've given up. They don't care about their own lives, or it's too difficult, so they say, about making those changes. But I truly believe that if we make these changes, that you will see this city turn around.
We had a wonderful show today, and we are so excited about what we're going to bring forth with our fitness challenge with Memphis Sounds Lounge show. And we're excited about all the people who will be playing a part in it as well. So be sure to click on the links below to get more information. Also, be sure to check out our other episodes, because we have some other guests that we've already been sharing in the past, and some more to come. The best is yet to come for sure. So we look forward to seeing you here. We look forward to seeing you subscribe and become a part of our network on our channel, and also for you to share with as many people as possible. Memphis Sounds is the place to be, and we look forward to you being a part of our history. Peace out.
Memphis Sounds where we hit that groove. Turn the club up, now podcast that we prove. Talking soul, funk stories in the mix. Memphis Sound spirit vibe.